It's Thursday, the 14th day of September 2023. Welcome to GHToday News here on GH1 TV. My name is Obed Gaglo. Here are the headlines. National Security Minister refuses to surrender information on AIB investigations into leaked plots to oust IGP as Parliamentary Committee takes custody of full original audio recording from Bugri Nabu. Also ahead, flag bearer aspirant Kennedy Ohine Japan urges party to make things possible for all aspirants to be satisfied. NDC and MPP struggle over cocoa politics. And also, inflation drops for the first time in the year. We have details of these and many other stories coming up. Please stay with us. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Now to our first story. National Security Minister Obed has declined to share details of investigations conducted by the National Investigation Bureau with the Parliamentary Committee probing the leaked tape on a plot to remove the Inspector General of Police, George Ikufu-Dampare, from office. Kandapa was invited by the committee to discuss the status of NIB's investigation following the tape's viral circulation, but during a closed-door hearing, he stated that the NIB's report is classified and cannot be made public. Chairman of the committee, Samuel Tachia, however, revealed that after the hearing, the complete unaudited original audio recording has been provided by the former Northern Regional Chairman of the MPP, Bugri Nabu.
He came to say, indeed and in fact, the NIB called Sobreda Asari and the rest of them in relation to the same leaked tape. And they've done a lot of work on it. It's an interim report, but he will not share it with us. Because if you care to know, it's a national secret document, it's not declassified. And in terms of law and the constitution, there's no way we'll share it with that. Then we moved on quickly to the second tape. You remember, the first tape is the one that was in the public domain. Then it was challenged that it didn't represent the full conversation that Chief Bugri Nabu had with Superintendent Asari and then COP Mensa. And that has necessitated that we should receive the full tape. So the full tape was what we're trying to, bring the attention of the witness to, and then we dilate on it. As a matter of fact, we're giving the second tape to them in advance, but they were complaining that they needed a transcription as well. So we gave the transcription to them. The source of the tape now is for the same Chief Bugri Nabu.
Atta Achia also disclosed that when the committee resumes its in-camera hearings on October 3, witnesses will undergo cross-examination as the implicated senior officers are expected to substantiate their claims against the IGP.
The case has been adjourned to the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th of October without fail. So there's going to be a continuation of proceedings for 5 days, by which time would have probably, when we return, it is going to be an in-camera hearing because all the witnesses will congregate with their lawyers and then they are supposed to give us the evidential support in relation to what they said openly and publicly. And please bear in mind that we are not trying to shut out the press because, as has been rightly said, There are national security implications relating to the interrogation, but eventually a report will be placed before Parliament, which will be a matter of public knowledge.
At the point, it appears some of the lawyers wanted to bully you. Did you see that to be tough on your side?
Well, the people who wanted to bully me are my engineers. I have a very young face, but I'm not a small boy at the bar. Yes, in fact, I have some people in the Supreme Court who are my engineers. I'm not a boy.
Now, security analyst Adib Sani has raised concerns about recent changes in police communications since the appointment of IGP Dr. George Ekufu Dampare. During his appearance before the committee investigating the leaked audio plot against him, Dr. Dampare revealed that police communication has been restructured to enhance credibility, a strategy adopted by all police PRO. However, Adib Sani disagrees with the centralization of police communication, describing it as detrimental and attributing a low score of 3 out of 10 to the IGP's performance in that regard.
At the beginning, it was okay, but later it became very bad. So at this point in time, I can categorically, without missing words, say the police communication is not effective at all. It's rather interesting how intelligence can be decentralized and police communication centralized. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Because in the past we had professionals like Ifeatinge, Kwesi Ofori, Tefasate, and the rest communicating, police information with the media. And at the point they said, okay, since we issue releases, that's it. So refer to the releases, which sometimes is so incoherent, and you are not even able to differentiate the feet from the head. And so there was a need for follow-ups. Unfortunately, communication has been very, very poor. So in terms of qualification, in terms of communication, I should say, I'll give the IGP 3 of 10.
To the camp of the New Patriotic Party, as part of the ground rules for the November 4 presidential primaries, the 4 aspirants vying to be flag bearer are not allowed to camp delegates at various voting centers across the country. This was agreed on by the governing party's Presidential Elections Committee and the aspirant at a meeting yesterday.
Following concerns that emerged after the Superdelegates Conference in August, the Presidential Elections Committee met the aspirants and their representatives to agree on new rules to ensure sanity during the November 4 presidential primaries. After a series of meetings, a draft elections guideline was put together by the committee and the input of the aspirants were sought to firm them up. Present at the final meeting to adopt the draft guidelines were Kennedy Japon, Francis Adenimo, and representatives of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia and Dr. Akoto Efuye. Addressing the media after the meeting with the aspirants, Chairman of the Presidential Elections Committee, Professor Aaron Michael Kwei Sr., disclosed that the guidelines have been fashioned to ensure the eventual winner after the election is the governing NPP.
We are generally agreed that there will be nothing like camping of best so that people will come freely and vote freely on this occasion. The EC officials were present even at the earlier meeting so that we will be able to iron out these formalities very, very clearly. And we don't say one thing here and then on the ground the same something else is happening. And we are going to meet the police together with the EC officials so that everybody sings for the same hymn book on that day. No officials, regional party people, etc., can have any influence on that day. You go to your own constituency and vote, and then you are done.
Speaking to the media after stepping out of the meeting, Kennedy Japon and Francis Adenimo expressed satisfaction with the guidelines, but the Asin North legislator cautioned other aspirants against engaging in acts that undermine the process.
I'm satisfied with it, but individuals as we are, some choose not to go by the rules and take the law into their own hands. That is the challenge we have now. And I'm advising all those who want to take the law into their own hands is that we need unity in the party. If you think MPP is in what Plato calls ideal world, Plato's ideal world, where justice is in the interest of the strongest, and the weak is always the vulnerable. I'm afraid it will not bring unity in the party.
Until we finalize the guidelines, which will now be the final document that will be given to the Electoral Commission, together with the validated register or album, and then the proxy list. Should there be a proxy list? And these are the three documents that the EC will be given for the administration of the elections on November 4th. So I am satisfied because we have all been involved. This has not been a job exclusively done by the elections committee of the party.
Meanwhile, the governing MPP has concluded balloting for the November 4 presidential primaries, with Kennedy Ohinijapon maintaining his number 1 spot and Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia taking number 2. Dr. Akoto Efriye took number 3 spot, whilst Francis Adainimo is occupying the number 4 spot. Here is Chairman of the Presidential Elections Committee announcing the positions of aspirants.
Honorable Kennedy Ohinijapon takes number 1. The Vice President takes number 2. Honorable Dr. Akoto takes number 3. And Honorable Adainimo takes number 4. That is the final placement by way of the ballot. And this is how it's going to.
Still on the MPP, flag bearer aspirants of the governing MPP, Kennedy Ohinijapon, says it is time for Ghanaians to give a chance to politicians with a business background to govern the nation. Addressing the media at the party's headquarters yesterday, the maverick politician said politicians with economic, legal, and security backgrounds have been given the opportunity to lead Ghana, but have not delivered the goods. In this regard, he believes it is time for people with business background to take charge.
When you look at the economy here, we need people who are naturally talented with business acumen. You know, I stand here and I can look at the environment and change it around. It is not theory, I'm pragmatic. And I know if I employ so many people in this country, if I'm giving the nod, I will multiply by 1,000 times to reduce unemployment in this. All the experiences I have is from my business. And I've seen it elsewhere that whatever I'm telling you is working. Typical example, if I tell you that in India, they use sugarcane to generate electricity. Even in Ghana here, when you go to Benso, where they produce fried oil, they use the husk to generate 2.5 kilowatts electricity. So if you are not a businessman, how would you even know? It's not the theory, the practical things. And I want to control, lead this country and manage this country like I'm managing my business.
Away from the New Patriotic Party, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Cocoa Board, Joseph Boyne Edu, has urged former President John Mahama to reconsider broader contest before passing judgment. This suggestion from the flag bearer of the opposition NDC that the government is ripping off cocoa farmers despite the recent increase in producer price of cocoa by 60% from the previous season price of 800 cedis, citing international market price surging to $3,600. The former president said government should have given farmers their fair share of the international free board price. Cocoa Board CEO, who is taken aback by the suggestion, slammed the former president, saying that since he had the privilege of being in government before as the number 1 gentleman of the country, he should be familiar with the process for determining producer price of cocoa. Now, Minority Leader Dr. Kesawa Tuforsin has accused government of being unkind to cocoa farmers in the country. According to him, despite Ghana being the second largest producer of cocoa, farmers are still struggling to break even as socio-economic development in various cocoa growing areas maintain poor. He was speaking at a media engagement for cocoa farmers in the DSO in the Sunyani.
Is that every bag sold by the cocoa farmer, the government has shortchanged the cocoa farmer a minimum of 1,500 Ghana cedis. In other words, the cocoa farmer will interpret it at 15 million Ghana cedis. So on average, if a cocoa farmer sells 10 bags, 1,500 times 10. In other words, 15,000 or 150 million Ghana cedis according to the cocoa farmer. So let me put it this way. You also agree with me that do your own computation. At the time that they were selling cocoa in 2016, the equivalent could buy at least 2 packets of iron sheet of roofing sheet. Today, even at 1,003, they can only buy 1 packet. The reverse is that it should have been 1-to-1 at the minimum. And during times like this, they should have been better off. Even if it's 1-to-1, it means that if they sell 2 bags, it would have been 2,600. So you can see where we are arriving at. And they should have been better off because ideally, times like this, things that we import into the country like roofing sheet will also go up, and things that you export will also go up. But what you have done, even if you are to do basic economics, by using the rate of inflation and using the deflator to deflate this amount, you will notice that clearly the government has shortchanged the cocoa farmer. Our position as the NDC minority in Ghana's parliament is that we will fight for the cocoa farmer. We believe that the cocoa farmer deserves better than what we are seeing. The cheat that this government is actually showing to the ordinary cocoa farmer isn't fair, isn't right, and it is not good for our economy. Because the cocoa, we all know, is the mainstay of Ghana's economy. So the more you cheat the
Our electoral officer for Ayawaso North, Joel Waston, is urging potential applicants to avoid waking up at dawn to queue to register for their voters' ID card. This was revealed during the second day of the registration exercise on the ongoing voter registration exercise. Here's the wrap of monitoring of day 2 of the exercise. Day 2 of the limited voter registration exercise, just as day 1, was characterized by pockets of confusion, long queues and system failure for opposition NDC's parliamentary candidate for Dom Kwabenya constituency, Elikplim Akrogu. Rolling out the exercise at the district level is a huge financial burden for the political parties and may discourage potential applicants.
Vote. And this is the case. You have also centralized the place, and so people have to travel from far. So because of that, it doesn't push them to come around. And so I think we are still pleading that she should still go and then look at it for us.
However, in an interview with GH1 News, District Officer for Dom Kwabenya, Ernestina Sapon, said, though there are challenges with the pace of registration, measures have been put in place to deal with the situation.
We are just asking the public to cooperate with us. In every system, especially using electronic systems, the very first days are normally not, friendly. But going forward, when the users have mastered, the use of the machines, things will be okay.
Back here at the former headquarters of the Electoral Commission, the situation was not different as there was intermittent confusions among the parties. Municipal officer for Ayawaso North constituency for Ayawaso North, Tizo Watson, says applicants should exercise restraints and avoid being anxious. He added that there is no need for applicants to queue at dawn to register, as that may be life-threatening.
People should not wake up from their home 3 a.m., 4 a.m. and come and queue at the offices of the commission. My fear is of their life. You may be coming that dawn, which is a little bit late. There is darkness. However, if you are attacked, your life is at risk. So you pass on in the name of going to register. No. The registration commences at 8 a.m. So if we arrive at the center by 7 or 7:30, voila, it's the best.
Many of the applicants could not hide their frustration as they described the process as slow.
I came here yesterday around 7. The line wasn't moving fast. It was slow. Then it started raining. So everything became slow. Then they said we should go home.
At 5 a.m., you see people being bussing here and out. And you need to ask yourself, as at that time, their life is at risk, and all these things need to be factored. So I would wish, and I would suggest to the Electoral Commission that such activities should be decentralized to our various communities.
Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana, JUSAC, has called for adequate security, protection and some risk allowance for its members following recent attacks suffered them. According to JUSAC, members have the duty to nurture, protect the justice system with immense responsibility of shaping the future of the nation by upholding the principles of justice and the rule of law. But they'll have to be protected. Samuel Aforte-Atu, president of JUSAC, made this call at the 2023 Judicial Service Staff Deba in Cape Coast.
On August 28, some community members in the north stormed the Tamale District Court over an alleged shielding of a drug peddler whose actions is said to have been destroying lives of the youths. The youth then besieged the court in an attempt to have him prosecuted, which led to exchanges of gunshots with at least 3 persons reported injured. This incident in Tamale and in recent reported assault on a court bailiff is what JUSAC says required adequate security protection and risk allowances for its members. President of JUSAC, Samuel Aforte-Atu, who made this call during the 2023 Judicial Service Staff Deba, an open forum in Cape Coast, said the incident is a wake-up call for its members to be considered for risk allowances.
As members of the Judicial Service, it is our solemn duty to nurture and protect the justice system. We have the immense responsibility of shaping the future of our nation by upholding the principles of justice and the rule of law. It also sends a signal that all employees of the service are at risk, and with this inherent risk, provision of risk allowance should not be seen as too much for staff. Respectfully, my lady, with your permission, I send a felicitation of JUSAC to our forebears who have served this noble institution and have now retired. I owe to you all.
Chief Justice, Her Ladyship, Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki Tokonu, said she intends to ensure that all judicial staff take up a course in paralegal studies to equip them in their line of duties.
Its client is for us to increase our learning in paralegal knowledge.
Both from every recorder, every secretary, every bailiff, every private process server, you have to study some subjects in paralegal studies.
Some retired staff of the judicial service, from cleaners, registrars, clerks, interpreters, among others, were rewarded for their services.
Ghana's annual inflation fell from 43.1% in July to 40.1% in August 2023. Government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna-Enin attribute this deceleration primarily to food prices. Food inflation rise from 51.9% in August, while non-food price growth also dropped from 33.8% to 30.9%.
Consumer Price Index for the month of August 2023 stood at 190.6 relative to 136.0 that was recorded in the same time August 2022. Consumer Price Index for the month of August 2023 stood at 190.6 relative to 136.0 that was recorded for the same time August 2022. Given these two indices, year-on-year inflation for the month of August 2023 stood at 40.1%. This signals a 3.0 percentage point difference between the rate that was recorded in July 2023 and the rate that was recorded in August 2023. In April 2023, we recorded a food inflation of 48.7%, in Jap 51.9%, 8% and further 54.2%, 55.0% in the month of June and July 2023. And we see that this upward trend that we've been recording for food inflation has been reversed with a slowdown in food inflation from 55.0% to 51.9% for August 2023.
And in sports, Black Star defender Gideon Mensah has described the current crop of players in the Black Stars team as completely different team that needs time to get to the levels required to win laurels for Ghana. Speaking exclusively to GH1 Sports, the 25-year-old admitted the team has the quality and outstanding players which needs to be worked on to get to the level of expectations from many Ghanaians.
The Black Stars of Ghana seem to be turned their fortunes after securing back-to-back victories in a bid to achieve their set goal of bringing back the love of Ghanaians for the team. Ghana cruised to victory after 2-1 in their last AFCON qualifier against the Central African Republic at the Babayara Sports Stadium to secure their spot at the 2024 AFCON to be staged in Ivory Coast. On Tuesday, Ghana again recorded a thrilling 3-1 victory over Liberia in an international friendly game at the Accra Sports Stadium. The team gradually seems to be turning the odds in their favor when it comes to their performances over the past few years. Black Stars defender Gideon Mensah, in an exclusive interview with GH1 Sports team on the sidelines of the Ghana-Liberia game, gave reasons but assured Ghanaians of a much better display of the Black Stars as we head to AFCON 2024.
Compared to the older players, it's like completely different team now, with different quality, different technique, different players, and all together. So obviously we're not going to have the team that we had before. Not as in they were better than us or we were better than us. It's just different now. But football in general is changing. So I mean, the current team that we have now, say we have a good team, and then we just need to work hard, like I said, prepare good, and then give Ghana good tournaments.
The 25-year-old Auxerre defender further touched on Ghana's qualification to the AFCON 2024 and said the goal is to bring back the love.
The goal of the national team now, the players and the whole technical team, is to win the heart of the Ghanaians back. And then concerning the AFCON, the best thing we can do is to go there and then perform more than we did in the last AFCON. I mean, we went to the last AFCON, I was there myself, and we didn't get the result that we wanted, we didn't get the games that we wanted. For us, the players, it wasn't a good feeling for us, so you can imagine how Ghanaians felt. So we're going there now to prove that that was something that happened, that we are not back here again to do the same thing again. So we're going there to prove that we are back for more, and then we are going to win their heart again.
The Auxerre left back climbed off the bench in the Black Stars 2-1 win over Central African Republic on Thursday to book a 10th successive appearance at the Africa Cup of Nations. Touching on Ghana's 3-1 win over Liberia, this is what Gideon had to say.
The reason why we play friendly games is to test our players and to test us, because sometimes playing games like African qualifiers or the World Cup qualifiers is more serious, that you find yourself thinking too much. But games like this also give us like some space in the head to think, and then as you can see, that everybody's having fun, the players are having fun. There's no much tension on them like playing in the African qualifier.
Gideon Mensah is currently injured but will be back in action for Auxerre after a week of treatment.
Away from sports, in the era of digital connectivity, social media platforms and dating apps have offered new ways to seek romantic connections. With their convenience, accessibility, and abundance of potential matches, these platforms offer an enticing opportunity to find love. However, amid a vast array of profile lies and ever-present danger known as catfishing, GH1 News' Mrs. Champon tells the story of a 24-year-old loving shattered after first love online.
First of all, physical attraction, like you like what you see, it's no wonder like so many people put so much into taking pictures to post online, especially with men. I mean, I'm just attracted to what I see. If I see something nice, I'll just shoot my shots, slide into the DM, say hi, so yeah, it's mostly physical attraction that gets my attention in the very first place, in the texting thing going online.
But 6 months in, Laveen's hopes and dreams were crushed after he discovered that the lady he was expressing love to was not exactly who she claimed to be.
Randomly added her, but then, you know, it's one of those things, you just see the person's post every once in a while. So I was just looking at her, and then I'm just like, okay, I think I should try my luck, you know. I think on just one fateful day, I just feel like, nah, I just saw a really nice post of her, and I was like, no, let me just try. This girl is actually really nice, you know, so let me try. We're just mostly texting, you know, streaking each other once in a while, you know, calls, mostly calls. I like talking more, so it's mostly calls and stuff, you know. It got to a point where I even decided to ask her out, but then I think knowing herself, so it was almost like I was even rushing, and I was even trying to just, you know, take things real quick. But then I probably should have taken that as a red flag.
Laveen quickly realized that he had become a victim of catfishing. Catfishing is a deceptive practice that involves tricking others with fake online personas, typically driven by personal gain or ill intentions. From the first ever dating website to the latest social media app, DMs and advancements in the digital world, catfishing has now become rife. Reverend Michael Inshira is a relationship expert and says he has encountered a lot of victims of catfishing in his line of work. Some of them had invested up to 9 years of their time and love into relationships that turned out to be fake.
Look at the signs. When you see red flags, you've not even married the person yet, and the person has started taking money from you, started lying to you. You start seeing certain signs that show that the person, you are always the one always calling. There's not been a time that the person finds out how you are faring. And when you call, most of the times you tell he's busy. And there's never been a time that he's free to communicate with you. And it's like it has been a one-sided thing, not a mutual thing between the two of you.
For persons like Laveen, regardless of the time spent in the relationship or even the intention behind the catfish's actions, finding out his relationship was built on lies and deception was completely heartbreaking.
Here's like where I had gone very far. 6 months of communication, a lot of conversations, a lot of talkings, a lot of like, you know, to the like even telling my guys, you know, yo, I've got this buddy, I got this girl, you know, everybody's like, yeah, you know, so there was some excitement in there. I was gravely disappointed, you know, so, and a lot of attention and time had been invested into her, you know, because I thought something.
And this is where we wrap up this morning's bulletin. Grateful for your time. My name is Obed Gaglo. GHToday continues with Natam Papango.